One of the things I've been reading about regarding the migrant crisis in Calais is that a lot of the migrants come from war-torn areas like Syria and Afghanistan and things like that. And yes, sure, a lot of them are fleeing war and destruction and strife and all that. And I mentioned before, if that's really the case, then why don't the whole families come over instead of just the fit young men? And one of the things you read about in a lot of the liberal press, especially The Guardian and New Statesman, Huffington Post, that kind of thing, is that the West, in particular Britain, has a duty to take in these migrants from these war-torn areas such as Afghanistan, Syria, etc., because the West has meddled in the internal affairs of those countries. In the case of Afghanistan, true, with regards to the invasion that took place after 9/11, but you could also say that the Taliban government kind of started it all, or Al Qaeda started it all by launching those attacks on the Twin Towers on September 11th, and Britain decided to join the States in order to deal with that, to eradicate the people who did that. What a lot of people a lot of people have forgotten with regards to Afghanistan is that okay, Britain has meddled in the affairs of Afghanistan through the invasion, but the Soviet Union, former Soviet Union, has meddled in its affairs for even longer period. In fact, it had a direct rule for a number of years before the mullahs took over, the warlords and the mullahs took over, and then the Taliban took over after that. So how come all these Afghan migrants are not flocking to the former Soviet Union countries, in particular Russia, which is kind of like the successor of the USSR now? As for other countries that have interfered, well, Pakistan has interfered a lot with Afghanistan. The Pakistan intelligence services, the ISI, they've actually admitted themselves that they've created the Taliban at the very least, and it's also there's also quite good evidence that they've also set up Al Qaeda as well. So why aren't they accepting even more migrants? Also, why aren't they accepting some kind of responsibility for their meddling in Afghanistan? As for the case of Syria, well, to be honest, the civil war in Syria is actually, as it says, a civil war is a matter between different groups of Syrians, whether it's based on politics or religion. It's between different groups of Syrians. Now, yes, the Americans lately have announced that they've going to help the Free Syrian Army, which is one of the factions doing the fighting, and if it's really a matter for them. So how can the West be blamed for starting the Syrian civil war? It's the matter. It was started because the sections of the Syrian population did not want Bashar al-Assad to remain in power. And that's it. Full stop. Yeah. So I really don't get a lot of this blaming the West. I mean. And to be honest, in the last few years, I think the West has been relatively benign in these matters, to be honest. Where it has interfered, there hasn't been actually too much condemnation of the West. For example, Kosovo and Bosnia before that, which has in fact helped the Muslim world out a bit. So yeah, I mean, it's I don't know, it's part of this post-colonial guilt trip that certain lefties have with, the West, and I don't know how this can be solved, but this is my take on it. The West does not owe people from Afghanistan and Syria anything. If those migrants from or the migrants in Calais want to settle in Britain, they have to do it the official way, in a normal manner, which is through the legal channels. And if you can't get in through the legal channels, that's it. Yeah. Okay. That's my point. Bye bye.